'cause I am the queen.
Hey guys, welcome back to another book rant and also happy Devil's Night. I thought what perfect book rant to do than Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas. I read this not too long ago. It is a very good series. It is about these four boys in high school. They're called the Horsemen. They kind of do what they want. Each book is about a different horseman and a girl that they are in love with. It is a dark romance series. There is spice. There is drama. There is violence. Heads up. It's always there's always more to the story. Basically, as you keep reading each book, it just keeps adding to the overall of how did they end up in jail. Like from the first one, you discovered three of them just got out of jail. They think there's this thing happened, but it's this thing, and there's just more to the story as you keep reading, and there's this whole big conspiracy apparently going on that none of them expected, and it's really good. When I first heard about it, I was told they were standalones. I'm glad I read them in order because I don't think they're actually supposed to be standalones because they pick up where each one leaves off at the end. I think there's like maybe a year gap in between them timeline wise technically, but I wouldn't say you'd be confused, but you'll get spoilers and it would make more sense. Just read them in order, in my opinion. That's just what I'll have to say. Each one has flashbacks of different things that kind of explain the present time and kind of adds more of the depths, and they as you keep reading, they overlap as they went to school with the girls that they're in love with, that are involved in each of their stories. So they're different ages. So you kind of see them mentioning other characters here and there that they see throughout school or that they're hanging out with, things like that. But either way, it is Michael, Kai, Damon, and Will. Each one of their stories, each one of what happened, kind of a whole big thing. There's also a novella called Conclave that I will talk a little bit about because, I bought it, so I'll talk just a little bit about that one. But let's get started. All right, let's get started with the first of the series, Corrupt. This is where you learn about Devil's Night. This is where you meet the Horsemen. You have Michael, Will, Kai, and Damon. This is where you meet all of them. This is where you meet Rika for the first time, and she is who this book is about. Her and Michael are the couple in this one. The premise of this one is Will, Damon, and Kai went to jail a while ago. They just got out, and with Michael's help, they tried to get revenge on Rika because they believe she was the reason they all went to jail. They think she released some videos that kind of showed them doing things they shouldn't have, which I kind of knew she didn't, which you don't know about the videos until like the end. Most of the book, you kind of just know they blame her. They blame her for what she did. And from what she was saying in hers, because it's dual point of view, and when it was her point of view, she was kind of making it seem like they deserved what they got for what they did to her. There was just a lot going on. There's just, like I said in the beginning, more to the story than what you think. Okay? I kind of knew she didn't do it. Obviously. I knew there's probably some type of misunderstanding. But they did some stuff. But I'm just you learn about Devil's Night. You learned that they kind of but they escalated it to a different, more extent in their town. Because it's a small town, and they kind of brought a bunch of kids, they turned it into what it is for them. There's other kids doing a bunch of stuff, everyone's partying, going crazy. They kind of just did things that weren't always illegal. And the worst part about it is they recorded it, and they had masks. They did. They had their signature masks that they wore. Everyone knew who they were. Everyone was fawning, things like that. I'm just why would you record it? And even if you are going to record it, keep the mask on. Because apparently in the videos that were posted, their masks weren't on. And I'm just you idiots. if you're gonna do it, worse if you're gonna record it, don't let it know who it is, because y'all just have it on this cell phone that, yes, y'all keep close to you, but obviously you see someone else got a hold of that cell phone, posted some videos, and now look at you. Like, come on now. No, they do learn their lesson later in the series, kind of, hey, let's not record some of these things that we're doing. But I'm just, no. And the worst is, you find out that it wasn't, they think it was Rika, you find out that it was actually Michael's little brother Trevor, which I didn't understand. At first reading this one, I didn't fully understand why Trevor might have done it. You kind of think, oh, it was Michael was in, like, the golden child, like Trevor was in a shadow or something like that. I'm thinking that Trevor was treated not as well as Michael or whatever, but later as you read the series, it's kind of just Trevor just thinks he's better when he's in the same position as Michael, kind of. He's like, oh, they always get away with whatever they do. They always can do what they want. They wouldn't be where they are without connections. And I'm just like, you have the exact same connections. You and Michael are brothers. First of all, Michael and y'all's dad don't even like each other. Okay? They don't even like each other. They don't get along. I highly doubt I would say Michael is the golden child. And first of all, he's where he is because he has talent. He's plays basketball professionally because he played it in high school. He went to college for basketball. He got a scholarship, or I don't think he needed the scholarship, but they recruited him for like basketball in college, and then he got recruited into the NBA. Like, he had talent. It had nothing to do with connections. He was good at basketball. He was the captain of the team because he was good at it. All the boys were actually on the team, and they worked really well together, and they won all their games. Okay? Trevor was just, I don't even know what his problem was. If somebody wants to explain that, cool, because I still don't understand why he acted like he was better, when I'm just like, bro, you're in the same boat. They literally did nothing to you. You're just being an asshole for no reason. To a point where he tried to kill them. Like, you want them dead that badly? Like, you hate them that bad? What did they do to you? Because it's not looking like they actually did anything to you. Now, I first thought, okay, maybe he's upset because Rika chose Michael. Trevor, you're not a good boyfriend, sweetheart. You're not very good. You don't actually even want, do you even want to actually be with her? Because your family's kind of pushed you together because you're the same age. Your father really just wanted Rika's dad's money because Rika inherited everything when he died. So he kind of pushed that for his own agenda. But did you even really want to be with her? And I get being upset about it, but you already knew that she had a thing for Michael before y'all even started dating. You did not have to go out with her. She did it because I think she felt obligated that she had to. But, and I get maybe you could be upset about that, but killing them? Really? Trying to kill them? That would make her want you because you tried to kill her too. And I'm just like, bro, you're doing just a little bit too much. For no reason. I need more of an explanation, okay? But man, when they want to get revenge on Rika, them boys wasn't playing. They was mad. They kidnapped this woman's mother. They stole all her money. They burned down her house. They was following her. They was scaring her, making her like hear things because she thought this apartment was empty next to her. She didn't even realize she was staying in the building owned by Michael's family, so they all had access to it. Was a whole, I was like, they really mad at her, and you don't know what she did. I'm just, because she's saying they deserved it, so I'm thinking she actually did do something. But at the same time, I was just like, but did she actually do what they thought she did? Like, what's actually going on? Because Michael was kind of holding back a little bit because he was in love, and I was just like, whatever. And after everything's said and done, they found out the truth about, like, she didn't really do what they thought she did. It was kind of his brother and Damon, actually, because he kind of didn't want Rika around. He thought she was messing up their flow, and you kind of learn more about that later. And I could tell Damon was messed up anyway, but once everything's said and done afterwards, like once Will, Kai, and Michael kind of realized Rika's not the enemy, there is also a steam room scene that if you read it, I'm not gonna get too much detail, but I would read it honestly just to get to that little Disney right there. But yeah, this one is really being the introduction. A lot of the flashbacks in this one is more of, it flashes back to that night and more kind of just really just tells what happened, what was going on the night that everything went awry, and like they thought before they got arrested, basically. It was the night before they got arrested. So this one is not as complicated and interplex as the other ones. But it is still good. And it's Michael, in my opinion, has the least amount of, I want to say, like mental things going on, and kind of just, he's more like knows himself a little bit more, so his isn't as, so this one mostly just focused on that night in like before they got arrested. But let's move on to Alright, next up in the Devil's Night series will be Hideaway, which is Kai Mori's story, and in this one you meet his girl Banks. So this one kind of picks up basically where Corrupt left off, kind of. Damon's in the wind from the end because he helps Trevor lure them, and he doesn't realize Trevor's trying to kill them, but he can't really stop it, but they blame Damon anyway. And so this one is more of they're trying to find Damon. That's what this one is about. Kai and Banks are the couple in this one, so it's about them. But the overall thing is they're trying to find Damon. Not sure what their plan is when they do find him, because it was never any indication that they were gonna like turn him in, because like the police are kind of also looking for him, but they didn't ever seem like to have any type of indication that they were gonna like turn him in or hurt him. Like they didn't really know what they wanted to do, because they do technically find him in the end, like he comes out, but they don't actually do anything. Well, they kind of tried to, but I don't know, I just didn't really know what their plan was, but it's really just they're trying to find him. Kai, however, is trying to find him for a different reason. You find out that Banks is Damon's half-sister. You discover no one knows he has a sister because he keeps her locked away. And you find out kind of some things of why he keeps her locked away and like things like that. I always thought the relationship, not always, but I kind of started thinking the relationship was a little bit suspicious, because he was kind of hiding her to protect her, but kind of how she was describing it and what she was saying about him was just a little bit suspicious. But you keep reading, it dials down just a little bit, and then you get into Damon's story and it dials down. But yes, I was a little bit concerned on that relationship in the beginning, I'm gonna be honest. Okay? Kai and Banks kind of, they meet as their kids, so the flashbacks in this one aren't like the flashbacks in Corrupt. The flashbacks in these are actually about their relationship, and it's different points of time for the flashbacks when they're like meeting and running into each other, things like that. Kai, at the point when they're younger, does not know who she is. They don't actually learn about her being Damon's sister until the present time when they're trying to look for him. They're having to deal with his father and things like that, and apparently Banks is in the middle of all of it, and they like making a negotiation, and Banks kind of has to start working for Kai. He ends up forcing her to marry him, and it was just a whole thing, really. And it was just, I do think they do work well together. I think Kai and Banks kind of fit each other, like with their relationship and why they kind of gravitated towards each other. They both have their own issues in their head and like how they're feeling, but they are trying to fit into the mold of like being who someone else wants of them. Kai is trying to be the perfect son that his father wants, and being who his parents want him to turn out to be, things like that. And Banks is trying to be the sister that Damon wants, and being, you know, doing what he tells her to do, trying not making him angry. And then it moves on to trying to impress her father and being the perfect, like, what her father wants, trying to basically be the son his father wants, even though she's a girl, like trying to prove her worth, things like that. So I think that's why they gravitated towards each other. They can kind of be more themselves around each other, be more of just who they are. They understand each other, basically. That's my opinion. I think they understand each other the best in this, and what and how they feel. Kai is hiding a lot of things from his friends in this one. You kind of learn he keeps a lot of secrets from people, and you discover he thinks he did something that he didn't do. He thinks he hurt someone, that he thinks he hurt Damon's mother, which we'll get into that later. And he knows that Damon knows about it because Damon took care of the body, basically. He dealt with that. So Kai is trying to find Damon. In my opinion, I think he's scared Damon's gonna try to send him to jail again, or try to blackmail him with this information, or just whatever it is. He doesn't care to find Damon because of what he did. He cares to find Damon because of what he knows. And they believe Banks knows where Damon is, which I think she didn't fully know where he was, but she had a feeling, and she kind of knew some things, but not completely, because she didn't want them to hurt her brother, obviously. But she knows what he did. But with the relationship, she really did not care about what he did. She just wants them to leave him alone, which I think that's what happened, honestly. Once they get to know her, she kind of integrates herself, especially being married to Kai. She begs them not to hurt him, and they let him go, even though he kind of did some things. He set some things on fire. He's still dealing with some stuff, okay? He doesn't have a lot of resources to deal with what's going on with himself, okay? He's still upset and hurt. And it's just causing a lot of issues. And it's just whatever. But I digress. But I can't say, one of the parts in this, Michael was pissing me off a little bit. He was gone a lot because he's playing professional basketball, so he was gone quite a little bit. But he was kind of pissing me off in certain areas. He was kind of acting like a jerk. He got mad at Will and Kai because they took Rika to Damon's father's house. And I'm just like, they didn't force her into the car. She got into the car on her own free will, because she wanted to be a part of what was going on. She didn't have to. She wanted to. They didn't force her into the car. They just didn't tell her to leave. And he was mad at them for it. It was like, she's more important, which, yes, that's his girl. Yes, she's more important. But, like, have you talked to her? Because she's going to do what she wants at the end of the day. She knew where they were going. She didn't have to get in the car and go. She went. Yes, you were over here yelling at them, being mad, blaming them. I'm just like, bro, calm down. Calm down. If Rika's not worried about being around him, then clearly she doesn't, like, think she's in that big of a danger. Which, his dad doesn't care about Rika. His dad does not give a shit. Rika's not on his forefront right now, okay? Damon was the one with the problem with Rika. His dad does not give two shits about what Rika is doing. He's gonna fuck with her to mess with y'all, but he's not worried about her. It works out good in the end. Everything kind of works itself out. They do find Damon. They decide, you know what? Let's just stop worrying about what he's doing. We need to move on with our lives. Thank God. And, you know, Damon has his own agenda right now. But That is Hideaway. It is also equally as spicy. There's also a special little scene in here. I forgot where they were. I think they were at the hotel. It was a bunch of them. I think they were at some party at the hotel that Michael's family owns. You also meet Alex. No, you meet Alex in the second one, but in this one, Alex becomes more prominent. She's a friend of theirs. She's not like she's a main character. She starts to become one. But you meet her. She's fun. But let's move on to the next. Alright, the third in our Devil's Night series is going to be Kill Switch. Now, before I get into this one, I'm going to put disclaimers on the screen, but I do want to say trigger warnings. I was going to try to not kind of filter around some things, but I'm going to confuse myself more if I don't just say what happens and like what I'm thinking about it. Because it'll be too confusing. It'll be confusing for me, confusing for you, even if you haven't read it, or if you have. I'm gonna just say trigger warnings. I'm gonna put some stuff on the screen, but before we get into that, I would say this one's the darkest one out of all of them. Especially, it's Damon's story. It's Damon, and you meet Winter. She's the girl. They're the couple. Damon is the most messed up out of all of them. As you can see from talking about the last ones, the things that he's done, just the glimpses of it, he's the most messed up. That's kind of what I think makes this one the darkest one out of all of them. This one is about him and Winter. You meet Winter. She is part of the reason Damon went to jail. When it comes to the videos and what they did, there was a video of Damon with her having sex. Technically, she was underage. I think they're 3 years apart. They had already known each other for years. Kind of have a complicated relationship. I'll get into more of that details. But basically, the video of them together got out. He goes to jail for statutory, things like that. And I want to say before I actually really get into this, I think the events of what happened were both of their faults. Damon was wrong, and I also think Winter was partially wrong as well. She's not completely innocent, and even as you keep reading, she even admits that she wasn't completely innocent when you look at the situation, because there's a reason it was only considered statutory, despite what she tries to say. He is the most messed up. You kind of get glimpses of the issues with his mother in Hideaway. You kind of like, you guess, basically. It's implied in Hideaway what his mother was doing to him, but it's confirmed that yes, she was raping him and things like that, sexually assaulting him for years. And that's partially why he's kind of really messed up. Plus, his father was abusive. So I'm not excusing Damon's actions, but when you read it, you kind of understand why he turned out the way that he did. He wasn't just born messed up. He was put in very messed up situations, and not the way he was raised. He wasn't raised in a good environment. So it's not an excuse, but it explains some things, okay? And he would have went to jail no matter what. But the problem is, Winter, she's blind. And the flashbacks in this one, it's the same thing with Hideaway. It's different time frames and different points of their relationship, because they meet when they're really little, when they're kids, and then she starts going to his high school, and they have some interactions there, and it's just, there's a situation. She's blind. So, you know, when you're blind, most of the time, by voice, people kind of know who that person is. She wasn't upset about what happened, that she had sex with this guy. She was upset when she found out that guy was Damon. He sort of did pretend like he didn't smoke before he met with her, because they would secretly meet up. She knew she was meeting up with some guy. He didn't smoke when he was with her, so she couldn't smell the smoke, and then she knew it was him. And he would take her places, like she would let him, like she would go with him, like they'd go places. The only thing, he never said his name, which that's a problem. Like, he never said his name. He did whisper a little bit. She couldn't completely tell his voice because he did know if she knew it was him, she wouldn't want to hang out with him. He was in love with her, but she wanted nothing to do with him, really. And she thought that she fell in love with this dude that once you get later in the story, towards the end, she admits that she didn't know his name. She knew she didn't know who he was. She referred to him as her mysterious stranger. She knew nothing about him. She admits that, but she admits she wanted to have sex with him. She did. And she knew that she didn't know who that was. So afterwards, and she's even the one who asks, hey, can you take a picture? Like, she asked for a lot of it. And the problem was he should have told her who he was, but she should have had more clarification. She knew she didn't know who this was completely. And when you look at it, she's more upset that it was Damon. Because if it was someone else, she would have been like, oh no, it was consensual, yada yada yada. She was trying to say rape because it was him and not someone else she thought it might be, but she knew she didn't know who it was. And in my opinion, she should have been more forward on trying to like know who this man is, his name, actually know more about him. She knew and they get together. If he really like did that, you wouldn't be later dating him and wanting to be with him when you know he's there, you know that's him. Because even later in the book, she gets taken, they keep going to a haunted house, but she needs to stop going to haunted houses because she keeps getting separated from her friends. They find her, I think, one time, and because they're supposed to be guiding her and helping her anyway, so she doesn't get lost because it's like a maze. But the second time, I think, or the third, I don't even know how many times, someone grabs her. She thinks it's an employee, but all she knows is someone grabs her, takes her somewhere, like in the haunted house, like to a more secluded part of the haunted house, and like has their way with her. She thinks it's an employee and just lets it happen. And she knows, she's in her point of view, she's like, I should scream, but I don't want to. And I feel like she probably knew it was Damon. It was Damon. But I feel like she kind of knew in her gut that it was him. I feel like she knew that because there's no way you would just let this person just take you thinking it's a freaking employee. But she might have, I don't know. But she did. And she even knew that it was going to look bad because she's saying he assaulted her, but now she's in the open. After the situation, they go outside. She's openly kissing him, so she knows it looks bad. Damon, everyone knows he's not the best person. He gets better in this. He does self-reflect in the end. He knows what he did was wrong. He knows he was not a good person. He understands that he's messed up in the head. He understands that. At first he doesn't care, and then he learns, maybe I shouldn't keep doing this as much. Maybe things aren't as bad, and I need to kind of change, and Winter kind of helps him with that. But girl, their relationship, out of all of them, I think is the most messed up one. And should they be together? Probably not, but they are. Can't really do nothing about it. I think she makes him a better person. He changed. I can't lie and say that he didn't. She did. She changed him. I'm not gonna be like, oh no, he's just still terrible, because he's not, because there's still another book after this. He's not that bad of a person. You discover even more things in this. And when I mentioned earlier about things not being what they seem, and adding to the story about them getting arrested, you also find out Michael's dad and Damon's dad were behind Rika's dad's death. And Rika's not scared of Damon anymore. None of the other boys want to be around Damon. Rika doesn't care. She doesn't mind being around him. She's been secretly meeting up with him. you learn some more stuff in here about Michael's dad and Rika and Damon, and you find out Rika and Damon are related. You find that out from Damon's father before he kills him, and it's that whole situation. And it's just a whole mess. Because Damon's father wants to control him, and it's kind of bad. Because they come together with Damon in the end, thank God. They reconcile, they realize some things, and things kind of get better. But his father's not happy, so there's that whole situation. And I'm just like, I'm glad his father is no more. Because why? Go away somewhere. But I can't say in this one, his friends are pissing me off a little bit because they're kind of acting like hypocrites. And they claim to not want anything to do with Damon. But then they're trying to keep Winter around and hanging out with her. And I'm just like, why? When y'all, what's going on? Rika's the reason Damon's integrated with Winter in the first place, because she gave Damon information that he needed to take her father down or whatever. And I was like, they're hypocrites, because Damon, his whole thing is he's trying to get revenge on Winter because he does blame her for him going to jail. Even though it's both of their fault, he blames her for him going to jail. So he wants revenge. And his friends are like, no, you're not gonna touch her, you're gonna leave her alone, you're gonna do this and that. And I'm just like, wasn't y'all just trying to do the same thing to Rika when y'all thought she sent all y'all to jail? Y'all tortured this girl, tortured her family, stole her money, burned down some shit. Y'all messed with her for the exact same reason Damon is messing with Winter. And it was just kind of a little bit like, y'all can't act like y'all are better when y'all did the same thing. Especially, I mean, why y'all mad that he's doing exactly what y'all were doing? Not I don't know the timeline. A year or two ago, maybe? The timelines, I can't say, confuse me. Especially when they go back and forth and it says like how many years ago it was. But it time jumps a little bit between each book. So yeah, and then especially when you get towards the end, like there's epilogues, there's time jumps. So I don't know exactly how many years it's been, but y'all need to either talk to Damon or mind your business. Because y'all can't tell him what to do when y'all just doing the same thing. Okay? Now because y'all know her name is Erica. Rika had nothing to do with sending y'all to jail, but Winter is involved in it. So, no, I don't know. But yeah, this one, it's the darkest one. Still some spice. More towards the end. It's more towards the end of like the spice once they actually get together. And things like that. There's a whole thing with Will, Winter, and Kai that's very interesting. And you also discover more of Will's and Damon's relationship because they're closer. Their relationship is a lot more complicated, which I love Will. So I did feel really bad. Cause he's going through it, and you know he kind of is. And they kind of stem it, it's because of Damon, because Damon tried to kill him. Not completely. But you kind of learn more of their relationship, and they kind of work on that because of like how they feel for each other. But yeah, that's this one. I still think it's pretty good. Still, there is discretion when you do read it, like I said in the beginning. But yes. Moving on from that, though, we get kind of into Conclave. I bought it. You don't have to. It's on the website, I found out. But this one is more of... It's continued after Killswitch. Damon has a child with Winter. Their lives are kind of pushing forward, moving on. They're getting married, having families. They're things like that. Conclave is in between Killswitch and Nightfall. Rika, honestly, I think this one is more about Rika and Michael. The relationship is kind of rocky at this moment, and she was pissing me off. I mentioned Damon finding out that Rika's mother is actually his birth mother. Even at the end of Kill Switch in the epilogue and then in Conclave, she was pissing me off because she's trying to force Damon to have a relationship with this woman when he doesn't want to. And like, I get it, yo, she's your birth mother, like, you should do that. This man is 20-something years old discovering this woman is his birth mother. He's not gonna automatically see her as some mother figure and love her. He just kidnapped her a few years ago. Do you not remember that? He just tortured her, trying to get back at you. He doesn't see this woman like that, and she was making me mad because she was trying to force it, like, she deserves this, this, and this. I'm like, she doesn't deserve anything. He doesn't owe her anything. And then for the fact that you go and take his baby, which Winter should have stopped that a little bit, like, she should have respected how Damon felt, but you go and take his baby and take the baby to your mother because, like, oh, she deserves to know her grandchild. That's not your decision. That's not your decision to make. Like, he needs to be able to come around. And yes, he does agree to, like, let his children have a relationship with her, but at this point, he does not want anything to do with her. He does not see her as a mother. He has his own issues because he feels she could have came for him. She could have saved him. She could have told him the truth. Instead, she didn't. She let him grow up in this house where he was abused. And she knew this. He feels she could have did more to save him, to help him, to tell him the truth, tell Rika the truth. Technically, when he confronted her, she couldn't even admit it. He confronted her about it, and she kind of just stood there in shock, not being able to just... No. He doesn't want to deal with her right now. He agrees to tolerate her for the sake of his children. Fine, they can know their grandmother. I don't want to have a relationship with her right now. She should have respected that. Rika was kind of making me mad. She was kind of just... I was getting sick of her with that. But Conclave is just... Her and Michael have some issues. So she's trying to... It's like you get locked somewhere and you have to talk about it. And the way she was talking about Alex, I thought she was finna leave Michael for Alex. I thought that was what's finna happen. Which, if it does, cool. But it didn't. But it was kind of just the way that she was talking about Alex. I thought that was where that was going. But just her and Michael, I'm just like, girl, you need to figure out your relationship before you're trying to deal with other people's relationships, okay? Deal with your mess. Because her and Michael are not in a good place at this point. For some things, it's mostly communication. Rika's keeping a lot of stuff to herself that she won't talk about with Michael. So that was that. And then this one's really short. They do that, and then they also talk about Will. He's missing. They don't know where he is. They go to find him. And that leads you into Nightfall. You find out where he is and things like that. But let's get into the last one. Alright, lovelies. This is the last of the Devil's Night series and a conclusion to this whole installment, and it is called Nightfall. This one is Will's story, which I was excited about because I love Will. He became one of my favorites, and I really want to know his story because throughout the last three, you could tell he was really struggling with something, and just struggling with knowing who he was, where he belonged, things like that. And this one is his story with a girl named Emery. You meet her in this one. He is the girl for him in this one. I don't like her too much. She's not terrible, but I struggled to get through it only because her chapters, mostly like her present day chapters, I don't like her that much. I don't know why. It's just, she's not my favorite. But this one is about what I explained before on how Will was missing. You find out where he is. He's in some thing called Black Church. It's some house in some location where the rich send their misbehaving sons. And he's apparently been in that house for a while. Emery ends up there somehow. And things happen from there, basically. Their flashbacks are the same throughout their different meetings, throughout different points, different nights. They went to high school. They didn't know, unlike the others, They met in high school once high school kind of started, because she moved. She's not from that town. She moved there and she started going to that school. People didn't like her. Her dad was not her dad. Her brother's a cop. Her brother is also, he hits her, things like that. In this one is where everything wraps up in a nice little bow, and you discover all of the different layers, all of the different, again, as I said in the beginning, where things weren't where they seem, and you kind of learn about the day they got arrested. This one kind of unfolds a whole lot of stuff, okay? And honestly, I was a little confused because certain things weren't adding up. I don't know if everything happened on like the same night, because in Corrupt, it made it seem like they did everything in that one night. I think things kind of happened on different nights and they just recorded it, but you do discover she is the ultimate reason. Well, that's a lie. She's the main reason they actually went to jail, which is so messed up. When I was reading that chapter, I was just, what? Like, they were already arrested because of the videos that Michael's brother Trevor released, but apparently Michael's father had an entire plan for just everything, and I was a little confused. I was kind of having trouble keeping up because 3/4 of the book is just Will and Emery in this house, flashbacks, trying to figure out their relationship. Still didn't like her too much, but it's really just their relationship, and you learn the progressions of their relationship and what she's going through, what he's going through, things like that. That's what the most of the book is, and then having to deal with the other prisoners in that house, and things like that. And then it's that last fourth of the book that everything starts to unravel about what really happened, what really sent them to jail, why, how, when. Bro, I was having trouble keeping up. I really was. It was so much. This one is probably the thickest out of all of them. Like, this one and Kill Switch are like the thickest ones. Like, they're thicker than Corrupt and Hideaway because there's so much going on. And this one being the last one, you gotta put everything in there so that it can all wrap up and be explained and go nicely. Because apparently Michael's father is behind everything. He is behind every bad thing that happened, from them going to jail to this, and it's just because he had a whole big plan. He wanted them gone. It was just so much. Because he finds out his son, Trevor, released the videos, because apparently it was a good job, but then he convinces Emery's brother, who's a cop. She allows her brother, she signs a little paper to have a power of attorney over her grandmother so she could take care of her, which I get it. It's your grandmother, I get it. But you allowed your brother to fake evidence. Like I said, he was abusive. So she would take pictures of the bruises and the marks that he left on her. He found the pictures. After she moved out and like things like that, he found those pictures that she hid and convinced her that if you sign this, then I don't fully remember what the whole thing was, but it was basically, you let me use these pictures, I will give you power of attorney over their grandmother. You can take her, you can take all the money that's left from the inheritance, things like that, from their parents. And she does. She signs it because she wants her grandmother, and I understand that. But you let him use your pictures to fake like those boys beat and assaulted and like forced themselves on you basically, but your face isn't in any of the pictures. It's a random girl. So that forced all of them to take a plea that was the real reason they went to jail. They weren't gonna go to jail before. Yes, there were videos, but the things that happened, like it was substantial, and like the videos could have been faked things like that. There was a whole thing of like not being able to really prove that it was them in the videos, that these videos are real. Even though like nowadays like you can prove it, but I think their families have a lot of money, so there was a whole issue. But they're like, he let it was making me angry, so I'm trying to keep my thoughts in check. She let him fake that there was a girl that they did that to, and that there was a testimony, there was this, there was that, and that to get them to take a plea deal to go to jail. She knew this for years, because at this point in time in Nightfall, I think it's been 7, 8, 9. It's been a while since they got out of jail. And she never came forward. She never said anything. I think that's one of the reasons he was so upset, because he never said anything. And like that's actually a real reason for him to be upset. And she hated him, but loved him. I don't know. I didn't understand her, and I really honestly didn't care what she had to say at certain points. But it was a whole thing, and it was crazy. I don't even know how to explain it. There was just so much going on, but they deal with it though. At the end, everybody's dealt with. Everybody's happy. Everybody's where they need to be. They deal with his father. You discover Will sent himself to Black Church. He was trying to prove to himself, like he trying to do the right thing, basically trying to find more people like them that need help. He had a whole plan. Emery was not part of that plan, and her showing up there, and it was just a whole thing he had to figure out. But everything happened. There's a random girl that pops up that Michael and Rika end up adopting. You don't know where this girl comes from. She kind of just showed up. I didn't understand that part. But either way, everything kind of works out in the end. It was this one. Towards the end, I started to get more into it. I liked it more by the end of the book. It's still really good. Still some spice. You discover more about Will and why he's kind of messed up. Mostly Emery's fault. Kind of understanding what's going on with him. But you also learn he's not what everyone thinks that he is. He's smarter. He's not doesn't just do things on impulse. Like some things he does for a reason. He might not tell you that reason, but he knows what he's doing. They meet new friends. Everyone's happy. Everyone has their babies and get married. They have this huge big wedding that I thought was cute, and I knew it was gonna happen because it was just, I don't know, Rika was hinting some stuff like she wanted to do something and she got them all dresses or whatever. I don't know. I knew that they were planning something, and I had a feeling. I was like, this is gonna be, everyone's gonna get married at once, aren't they? Yeah, everyone's gonna have one huge wedding. Even though Kai and Banks were technically already married, they didn't have a proper wedding because it's more of a forced wedding in the beginning. But they had some whole big wedding, which is cute, which was ruined at first, but they came back. And it was actually pretty cute, and I liked it. Because they were all together. They're family. Their found family, basically, is what this whole series can say. Is a found family type thing. So this one was really good. This one, like I said, I don't like her too much, but the relationship is okay. The relationship is fine. He feels like she makes him better, which at the end of the day, that's what's important, I guess. But regardless, I do want to say something though before I end this video. I forgot to mention something when I was talking about Kill Switch. And how Winter was mad that it was Damon. I think her hating Damon stemmed from people in her ear about her being blind. She blamed him for her blindness because they went to a treehouse and she fell out of that treehouse. Now, throughout the whole thing, I'm like, okay, did he push her? Did she fall and he look at her and not try to help her? Like, what happened? It was her father's fault. Her father had an issue with his whole family. So when he saw his daughter in a treehouse with him, they weren't even with Damon, they weren't even doing anything, they were just talking. He storms up to that treehouse and starts getting violent. He pushes Damon, that knocks him into Winter. Winter goes off the side. He tries to grab her, but he's like 11 and can't pull her up. He doesn't have the strength for it. And she falls and hits every branch on the way down, apparently. And that's what happened. And she kind of gets her memories back and kind of realizes that she never truly had a reason. The reason of her hating him wasn't really what she thought. It's kind of everyone else was saying that it was his fault. And it's like, just because of his last name, they automatically assumed he was bad anyway. So that was that. But that was that series. I'm gonna get my books back in order because they're out of order now. But yes, that is the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas. It is a good series. I highly recommend it. It is dark. It is spicy. There are trigger warnings. Again, it is a roller coaster. Honestly, there's just so much that happens here, so much that happens there, but it all comes together in the end. And I do recommend it if you want just a nice little read, if you like series, if you like found family, because that's really what they would kill for each other. This is their family. They don't, all these fakes, Damon's dad, Michael's dad, all of them just wanting for their own benefit. Screw them. They have each other. But anyway, that is it for that. That is the Devil's Night series on this great Devil's Night itself, which I had to look up because I didn't even know that it was a real thing. But I learned that it was a real thing, and I thought it was cool. So, and I was like, this is the perfect night to do this. So, go out, well, be responsible and go out, and then also tomorrow night on Halloween, go out. But enjoy this wonderful night, and I will see you all next time.